Hey, howdy and hello, folks. Welcome back into T1A. Back for another session of Two Sides of the Coin. Today we are looking at Rachaad White. Gonna see some good, some bad. Let's get into it. So we are back with another session of Two Sides of the Coin. We are looking at Rachaad White today. All right, we are back. We are looking at Rachaad White today for our Two Sides of the Coin. Two sides of the coin referring that we are looking at the good, the bad, and whether or not this is a gamble of where you want to flip the coin and have that player on your roster. So, Rachaad White comes out of ASU, Arizona State, last year, drafted by the Bucks in the 3rd round. So, looking at his draft profile here, when he was coming into the league last year, he came in with a 4.48 40. Good, not super elite, but still a good 40 time. His speed score was 106.3. The burst score 127.1, so 87th and 84th percentile for those, which is meaning that he is very above average in his ability to get up to speed, and also looking at his short area or burst, like his quickness. So he's quicker than fast, and it also shows that in his 40 time, being a 4.48 is still really good. He's just lacking that really long speed, so you can't expect him to be doing long breakaway plays, not like a Tony Pollard, LaDainian Tomlinson. He's not going to have that long speed that's going to get you super huge runs. There's kind of a first knock in his fantasy profile because he's not going to have long runs for you. Not a big deal. There's other ways to get points, so we'll keep going here. Coming in at 6 foot, 215, pretty good BMI, 29%. So let's look over at his college stuff before we get into what he did last year. Coming into his senior year for 2021, he had 1,000 rushing yards in 11 games. He had 184 attempts, which averaged out to about 5.5 yards per carry. He had 43 receptions for 456 yards, averaged out to be about 10.6 yards per reception. He totaled 16 touchdowns, 15 rushing, and 1 receiving. Overall, not a bad season. Especially we're seeing 11 games, 1,000 yards. That's a pretty good mark. Overall, put up 1456 for total yardage, 16 touchdowns. That's a pretty productive and decently good season in college. So we get to last year, his first year in the NFL. He's drafted into Tampa, 3rd round, sits behind Fournette. The shadow of Fournette is what I would like to say. Even being a Tampa fan, it was rough. Rachaad White ends up playing in all 17 games, logs in 129 rushing attempts for 481 yards. Kind of an ouchy 3.7 yards per carry there, but he does have some fantasy value, and this is where it comes in. He ends up getting 50 receptions for 290 yards and 3 total touchdowns on the year. Not super phenomenal for the touchdowns, but really, really good for receptions. So the best part out of his receiving work is he finished number 2 on the year in his catch rate. He was able to catch 86% of all of the targets thrown his way, which is a very high percentage, which means he has sticky hands. That's great because the volume might not be there, but he's probably going to have a high volume of catching the balls that are thrown to him. Let's look at some more of the rough stuff that might be here for Rachaad White and what could limit his upside just a touch. So first thing is the offensive line. Going from 2021 to 2022, there was a big change in Tampa's offensive line. They lost Ali Marpet, and overall, very phenomenal lineman. Great pass blocker, good run blocker, intelligent, and just really anchored down that left guard for quite a few years for them. Alex Kappa left. He went to be a Bengal. He was a great run blocker, developing as a pass blocker, and just a great mauler. This whole line I enjoyed watching, for the couple years that they built it and kind of the pieces they put together. Ryan Jensen, they ended up losing him last year to an injury. Tom Brady had talked to him, let's do this, let's do one more year. He came back, and then he gets injured in the preseason and ends up missing most of the season. Ryan Jensen was another great run blocker, and he was a decent pass blocker as well. Donovan Smith, their left tackle, he was good, probably the weakest link on their line. Sometimes it seemed like he was just a sieve and just let everybody come on through, but he's gone now as well. So going into 2023 now, Tristan Wirfs is moving from right tackle to left tackle. I believe Ryan Jensen is back. We'll see. See if he plays the full year or not. New lineman this year. There's Cody Mausch. He's a rookie guard out of North Dakota State. You might have seen him. Redhead, long hair, missing the front two teeth. There is Matt Filer. He's a 7-year vet, but probably not the most prolific offensive lineman around. Probably average. I don't know much about him other than he's on Tampa. And then we also have Luke Gadecki. He ended up filling in last year, I believe, for the right guard position. He's going back to his natural position, which was a right tackle. And he was a rookie last year. I thought he did pretty good for where he filled in and what he was asked to do in all of the offensive line turmoil. And then we know the biggest thing that happened to Tampa last year, aside from that offensive line, is Tom Brady leaving. So that changes drastically the dynamic of what this team is going to be, not only on offense but on defense. It makes a big difference, if the defense isn't able to shut them down, that you have a super elite quarterback that you can just turn it on and take the team down the field and score no problem. They're not going to have that now. We're going into Baker Mayfield with hints that there could be, Kyle Trask somewhere in there. So what are we expecting out of that Tampa offense? We've got a young offensive line that's lacking cohesion, very likely going to get some pressure up the middle, probably a low efficiency out of that offense, especially early on until they get the playbook down, until things start rolling. So there's going to be some volume in rushing, but a lot of it's probably going to be in a pass attempts, and there's going to be some capping for what Rachaad White is. There's already talk about the coaches using Chase Edmonds in some third down role, not exclusively, but there's some work in there which could limit what Rachaad White can do. There's talk about Keyshawn Vaughn coming in and working a little bit with some rushing ability. So Rachaad White's role is not going to be a 3-down workhorse back. He's going to be in a committee, and it's going to be kind of here and there. But what I do see out of Rachaad White is potential. There is some good. But we're going to have to kind of wait till that mid to late season when things start to progress, when things start to get comfortable. The playbook is understood by all and how to run it and how to efficiently check through plays. Until we get to that point, it's going to be a constant turmoil of what's going to happen. Big plays here, not so big plays, low efficiency in the offense. So they're probably not going to be able to move the ball super well. So once the team does get that cohesion, once it does start to move a little bit forward, I think the defense will carry it a little bit. But there is going to be some attempts. There's going to be the touches there that we're looking for in fantasy for Rachaad White. It won't be shocking for him to see, the 20 plus touches and 100 yards rushing / combination yards. But we can't expect that every week. What he should be able to maintain, though, is 4 receptions, 25 yards. I think that feels pretty comfortable for him to be able to get out of the 4 to 8 targets he's likely to get per game. His rushing is going to be ugly. It's going to be very efficient. Could get down as low as like 20s, 30s. But what I'm really forecasting it as is, anywhere from 40 to 60 yards a game. And in a full PPR, we're probably looking at a high average of 12. More than likely, it's going to be a closer to 10 unless he scores, which it doesn't seem like he's going to be a long scorer, kind of what we were talking about earlier with his speed. So it's more likely going to come at some red zone touches. Value of Rachaad White. There is a lot of doubt from his performance last year, the inefficiency in his rushing. There's also a perception that he is the only back in Tampa, but it's a very mixed perception out there, and kind of why I wanted to cover him in this little segment here. Owners don't want to sell low because his plausible price tag really is like a mid 24 second. They don't want to sell anything even close to a high 2024 second because he could gain value. People looking to acquire him would be happy to pay, a second round price or 2 seconds because they know that it's going to be higher soon once he's on the field and shows he's going to get some touches. In drafts right now, especially startups for Dynasty, you're looking at RBs being drafted around him as Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Pacheco, Cam Akers. And really, I'd rather have the shots on all of those guys because of the offenses they're going to be in and what they're going to do for me this year. Down the road, we'll see. But that's where another part of Rachaad White comes in. We are uncertain of what's happening in Tampa. They are going through a slight rebuild. They are still having to pay Tom Brady his money. We got Mike Evans coming to the end of his prime. Godwin's going to be in his prime. We got K. Dotton, a rookie tight end. It's Baker. We got a young rookie, a younger, not really a rookie, but a younger offensive line that's still developing. But you got a solid defense. So to me, that tells us they're going to look to probably invest in a quarterback soon and then a running back. How long is the leash for Rachaad White? Do they bring in a vet next year? Do they bring in more young rookie talent? Very likely. So that kind of caps Rachaad White in his dynasty value and not just his redraft because we don't know what it's going to hold for us next year. So getting into wrapping this up here, if you're liking the video so far, give me a big old thumbs up there. Don't forget to subscribe. Click the notifications if you want to see what we're doing. We'll definitely be having weekly waiver check-ins all during the football season, which is approaching real soon for us. We've got our last best ball draft coming up in a couple days, and I still have another two sides of the coin or two that I'd like to put out before we get to wrapping up all of our all of our running back, tight end, and wide receiver tiers, and that's before the season kicks off. But last bit here on Rachaad White. If you have him now, I hope you don't need him. Unless you're in like a multi-flex league and looking to really be competing, then you can have him in a flex spot or two. If you're rebuilding, I would sell him, but I would wait to do so. Wait till he gets on the field, shows some production, and then see what you can do to move him late 2024 first, couple seconds, something like that. It's probably going to net you a better value. If you already have him or you want to acquire him, all right, I understand. RB positions are kind of hurting. You might want to take some shots on people. It might cost you 2 seconds or a late first of a team that's looking to be a competitor. Anything more is going to be too much of an overpay to go buy him. Anything less, absolutely slam that and get that value back when you move him. But really only looking to buy him in any PPR multi-flex league where I'm either really, really weak at running back and looking for something to establish me there, or I'm looking for a deep flex or a multi-flex player. In anything standard or half PPR right now, I'm pretty much just out on Rachaad White. So that brings us to the end of Rachaad White. Hope that was beneficial for everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you later. Latest.